Welcome to Market Pulse Weekly. This week, we're looking at the latest Market Action Report for February, one of the first clear snapshots of how the 2026 housing market is starting to take shape across Clark and Cowlitz counties. And the early signal is pretty encouraging. More listings coming on, buyers staying active, and prices continuing to move upward at a steady pace. First, let's look at Clark County. In February, 657 homes were newly listed. To put that in perspective, that's a 23% jump compared to the same month last year, a meaningful increase. And it wasn't just sellers getting more active. Pending sales were up 17% year over year, and closed sales came in 11% higher than February of last year. So you've got more people listing and more buyers stepping up at the same time. That's not a coincidence. Mortgage rates have been testing the 6% range lately. They haven't pushed decisively below that threshold yet, but just the fact that they're getting closer seems to be doing something for buyer confidence. When rates start approaching a level that feels more manageable, buyers who've been sitting on the sidelines often start running the numbers again. Whether it's someone relocating or a first-time buyer who's been waiting things out, that gradual movement towards 6% seems to be nudging people back into the conversation. As for inventory, February housing supply came in at 3.2 months. That's down from 4.1 months in January. But here's the thing. When you zoom out and look at the last several months, what you see is a pattern of seasonal fluctuation around a pretty consistent baseline that's been in place since early 2025. November briefly pushed above 4 months of supply. December dipped below 3. January climbed back up above 4. And now February is settling back toward that 3-month range. So the recent drop in inventory is likely not a dramatic shift in supply. It looks a lot more like the normal ebb and flow you'd expect as the market transitions out of winter and into spring, which frankly is kind of reassuring. It suggests the market is normalizing, not swinging wildly in one direction. Another number in the report that's worth noting is total market time, which came in at 94 days. A year ago, it was 77. So homes are taking a little longer to move from listed to under contract now. In practical terms, what that suggests to me is that buyers are taking a little more time to evaluate their options before committing. With regards to pricing, the story continues to be one of gradual upward movement. Nothing dramatic, but consistently in that upward direction. The average sale price in Clark County for February landed just above $624,000, which works out to a 4.4% increase year over year. The median sale price came in at $535,000, up 0.9% compared to February of last year. So prices are still climbing, and at a pace that reflects historical annual appreciation. As for Cowlitz County, it's a smaller market, but the direction of things looks very similar. Buyer activity has picked up modestly, with pending sales up about 5% year over year, and the 12-month rolling average sale price is up 2.4%. So when you step back and look at all of this together, what February's data is really telling us is that Southwest Washington is making that gradual transition out of the slower winter months and into the early stages of spring. Listing activity is up from last year, buyers are engaged, and prices are moving in a positive direction. Inventory is still relatively limited, even with some of that month-to-month fluctuation mentioned earlier, but the overall picture is one of a market that's active without being overheated. Conditions feel reasonably balanced, and that's a pretty healthy place to be. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's update. And if you'd like to dig into the numbers yourself, the full breakdown is in this week's Market Pulse Weekly blog. You'll find a link in the description below. See you next week.